almost as easy as it is to get $200 in bonus bets from FanDuel right now, because you can start the NFL season with a big return on FanDuel, America's undisputed #1 sportsbook. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And right now, if you use promo code FanDuel.com/UCSS, you get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed just by placing a $5 bet. Never waste a hunch and make some money on FanDuel, which makes every moment more and is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And with that, let's welcome in Leroy.
What's up, Leroy?
What's up, fellas? What's up,
Leroy? What's up, man?
Leroy, what do you think about, we were just talking about, G was commenting on it, we're going to hear Dustin a little later on it, but the fact that last week Malik Neighbors just destroyed Newsome and Emerson, and then when they put Ward on him, and the Giants got conservative, that's part of it, but Ward's a different level of player than those other two guys. With Devontae Adams this week, and just in general, when you play against a team that has a superstar wide receiver, do you think Jim Schwartz should go away from his tendencies, as G suggests, and have Denzel Ward play one-on-one with that great receiver?
Here's what happens that catches you off guard, okay? One of the things that makes that secondary great is the pass rush, okay? Now, let's be clear. You wasn't playing Montana, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. It was Daniel Jones, who their team didn't even want as quarterback. But they paid him a lot of money, so he had to play quarterback. So the fact that we all know Malik Neighbors can ball. The fact that you gave that quarterback, who has a propensity to throw it to the other team, all that time to sit back there and find his guy, that's more of the issue. Like, yeah, eventually you can switch to that once you realize you're not getting no pressure. But the surprise of that game wasn't that Neighbors is really good. The surprise is Daniel Jones picked you apart.
Yep.
And so from that standpoint, let's go, to the origins of it. We're looking at the end of the play. We forget that. Have you seen Daniel Jones the last 2-3 years? Have you ever seen him do that? That's the problem. So whatever you had to do to change his clock, forget who's running in the secondary. You needed to do something to change his clock and get him to doing the things he normally does. And when you didn't do that and he picked you apart, I understand we watching the game being shocked. Not because it's Malik Neighbors, but because it's Daniel Jones. So we got it kind of backwards there.
Okay.
You're looking at the end result. I'm looking at the beginning. Why we ain't making Daniel Jones uncomfortable?
Good question.
Yeah, and the other thing too, Leroy, is Daniel Jones is a pretty athletic quarterback.
Yeah,
and he was able to make some plays with his legs. We were just talking before you came on about Minshew this weekend. Like that could be another problem for the Browns, like it was last year when they played him when he was in Jacksonville. Like, does that concern you at all? I mean, because we're gonna have to face Lamar twice.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal: is that when you have a quarterback like that, then you got to pay attention to detail. Don't leave no gaping holes for him to get through, right? And to what Bush was talking about, run them tackle in games, get some pressure up the middle, make sure you contain outside, close that pocket on him, and make sure that he doesn't have an escape plan. The worst defense in the world. Okay, I'm going to tell you all this right now. Spy. I don't care who your quarterback is or who your linebacker is. You telling me you can guard one man 50 by 50? Because you don't know where he's coming out, right? So it always seemed like, why did he run for so many yards? We had a spy. Because one guy can't cover him. Right?
We just
asked about why is so-and-so being single covered in the secondary. Then why are you putting the linebacker on athletic quarterback? Just imagine if you had somebody, you were playing somebody like Lamar Jackson, and you put him at wide receiver. Would you cover him with the guy you spying with him on? So what the hell makes you think you could do it then? You're just wasting a defender. Blitz him.
True.
So I don't believe in the spy. I believe in, the defense and being where you're supposed to be. Now, there's certain guys we have exceptions for that. Okay? Myles Garrett is one of them. You do what you got to do because he's that good and he can make a difference. He a little banged up. I got to tell you, I've never seen a football team where they talking about if one more offensive lineman get hurt, we ain't got no more. Right? I'm like,
we just done.
You got guys playing positions that you moved them out of that position because they wasn't really good at it. Mm-hmm. So it was like, and I'm seeing a lot of this throughout the NFL. And I asked the question today on my show, while we sitting here looking at all these injuries, and Fox, you can attest to this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much you practice, how much you run. Hell, we run all summer. That pressure you put on your hammies and your quads and your core on game day is totally different. And you asking a whole bunch of grown men making a lot of money to sit on their ass for a month, but then week one, let's go. And guess who's not having those problems? Look how much Kansas City played in the preseason.
Yep.
Right? So don't tell me that you worried about guys getting hurt. You got to get them ready for the season. And I'm seeing a lot of this. It's not just the Browns. It's not just, you know what? An offensive line can't play in the regular season together if they never played together. Them guys need to get work. It don't have to be a lot. But you still got to get the juices flowing. You got to get, your mind right. You got to get the attitude to get ready for a game. And it looks throughout the league like these guys say, oh, I'm going to be ready during the regular season. I have never played for a coach that thought that. Now all of a sudden everybody thinks that.
Leroy, we saw what the game plan was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mm-hmm. Deontay Foreman got touches early, often. Mm-hmm. You established something up front. We come into this game. I think he gets 2 carries, and we're back to empty formations and 5-yard checkdowns. I'm at the point of this. I'm at a point of frustration because just like Dustin said, when you watch these other teams and you get access to the film, you watching other teams and the way they go about creating a game plan, it seems like when I'm watching the Cleveland Browns, it's almost like they feel it's bad to run the football, or they're getting penalized, or they feel they're begrudging because they have to play a certain way to win. Rather than playing that way and winning football games, it seems like they would rather lose and do it like
play a certain way. I would say this. And I thought about this, and I don't want to put this all on the offensive line, but there were times where there wasn't a person in the backfield that had a second to do anything. And as a coach, when you see stuff like that, your first thought is, let's get it outside as quick as possible. Right? Now, the reason why I give Kevin Stefanski a break is because, for the most part, since he's been the coach, he's been able to get out of all these certain situations and have some success. But everything changed every play. So now you got to change and evolve, and the game's not that long. Like, what would you suggest an offensive play be when you got 5 offensive linemen and only one of them is playing the position they play? Right? You're asking a lot of your team. Now, if I were to have a complaint about the offensive line and it's nobody's fault, it's Bill Callahan. Because the same group of guys, no matter what the situation was, seemed to hold it together. And we just dismissed that. Now, he left for a great reason. So it's not anybody's fault. But we underestimate how good of a coach that man was at offensive line.
You know what, Leroy? To follow up on that, yesterday on my podcast, I had a chance to interview former NFL player and head coach Ron Rivera.
Uh-huh.
And he brought up Bill Callahan, and he said, yes, obviously it's a big loss from a coaching perspective. But I asked him this, and he actually said that I think there's some truth here, that Bill Callahan is the type of coach that he's hard on his players. He's tough. Mm-hmm. He's tough on his players.
Yeah.
And he thinks that because Kevin Stefanski is more of a player's coach, he's not a hard ass like that, that the combination of Stefanski and Callahan together kind of balanced each other nicely.
Right.
And that they might be missing that hard edge on the offense.
There's certain positions on the football field that you got to be tough. And it's got to be a demand on you to be tough at all times. And that's what Bill Callahan was. Kevin Stefanski is not necessarily that guy. But and that's okay, right? Yeah. But you're right in having that mix. A coach that'll hold you. And guess what? You can be a player's coach and be a hard ass. One ain't got nothing to do with the other. One is accountability and demanding of your players while caring about their success. You can't, it's not necessary to be one or the other.
Okay.
But some people's personalities just don't know. If Kevin Stefanski came out and tried to do that, his players wouldn't respect him because it would be fake.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. But I just see the way the offensive line is, right? And knowing the way Bill Callahan was, he would have had almost an aneurysm on the sideline with that nonsense going on.
Leroy, I saw guys, I saw Jared Wills literally spin in one circle and look at one guy go in front of him and another guy go behind him and never touch nobody. I saw Nick Harris just whiff on a block. Yeah. And, like, it infuriates me to see guys at the position that you play and watch seem like they don't have no fight or want to when their guys are getting tackled and hit in the backfield. Like
sometimes, even if you don't have the talent to do it, and Fox, you could attest to this. Mm-hmm. Sometimes because you feel responsible to the other 10 guys on the field, you reach somewhere deep and do things that your body know damn well you shouldn't be doing. Right? Not because you're that good, but because you know that the other 10 guys on that field are depending on you. Yep. When I see Deshaun back there, right? Soon as the ball snapped, he can't even look downfield. And I don't know how much of that is so many guys get moved around. So I'm a kind of I get what you're saying, Bush, but I'm not gonna lean into that, right? Because I mean, who's playing left tackle that they moved him away from left tackle because he wasn't left tackle.
Is that DeJuan?
But was it
no, but Tony, they moved Batonio out to guard, out to tackle. I thought I thought after he got beat by Brian Burns, he actually played pretty good at left tackle, which is hard for a guard to do.
Right. So it's it's a lot of things going on that you want answers for, and the answers are all over the place, right? But if I could go to one place and say, what could have made this better with the same situations, I would say Bill Callahan wouldn't allow that, right? And I don't know how else to put it. Yeah. It's some unfortunate. Look, football is such that things happen to you and happen during the course of a game where you don't know how you're going to get through it, but you got to find a way. And they were not able to find a way with all the circumstances going on. The one thing I would have done differently during the course of that game, if I'm going to have an open receiver, it's going to be because I blitzed everybody. It ain't going to be because I sat back and watched him run around and get open. Right. Put some pressure on Daniel Jones. I would have did that from start to finish. I don't want any quarterback, especially a quarterback who already is known for making mistakes, to sit back there and get comfortable. That's the only thing different I would have done. Offensively, as much as I tried to come up with solutions, the game, offensive football, starts with your front five. And the fact that they moved around so much, it was just searching and trying to find any kind of way to have a successful play to move forward. And it became difficult with all the movement, like you said guys turning and looking, and that could just be because of bad step, because he hadn't worked with the guy next to him. And it looks bad. But consistency at offensive line, when you don't have that, it's hard to have consistent offense.
Leroy, there was an article yesterday, some of the advanced analytics on the Browns, and just sort of shows how bad that they've been this season, not just for us watching them, but like statistically, this is the worst offensive performance through 3 games they've had since '99. And like, we're talking 3.8 yards per play, 18% on third down through 3 games. Like, this is just not going to get it done. We've got Stefanski, who is this offensive guru. You bring in the new system. Like, everyone keeps talking about all these excuses, like the offensive line's banged up. We don't have Nick Chubb. It's this, that, the other. And I don't know what to tell people, but like, you've got a quarterback who's supposed to be this franchise guy. And there's other guys around the league that have offensive line issues too. So I guess my question would be, like, is it the O-line or is it Deshaun? I mean, I know it's probably a combination of both, but why can't Stefanski come in and say, okay, we do this well, so let's just freaking do that? They don't do anything that they do well consistently.
Because I think for 3 weeks, they've been searching themselves, right? You have success in spurts, but you don't have anything consistent. Right. And so it's hard. Like, in years past, you could always say this: whoever's playing quarterback, we're going to run the ball down your throat. You can't say that right now because you don't have that guy. The offensive line is not really gelling because they're making changes every other play. And, with the way passing is, and I said this either last week or a couple of weeks before, that look at all quarterbacks. Like, we sit here talk about Deshaun. All these quarterbacks are 20 for 30 for 160 yards. Like, I don't know what happened, but that's the way the whole league is going, to these short, quick passes. I will say this, though. The only teams that seem to be having success, and I love the way people say you can find running backs anywhere, are the teams that's running the football with that guy. Right? The teams that have committed to running with that guy. So you look at Philly, right? You look at the Ravens. You look at what Pittsburgh's trying to do. You look at all these teams that have made a conscious effort to be physical up front and run the football. Those are the teams that no matter what, they're going to be in the football game. So I get all these short passes and call them outside runs. No, they not. Because guess what? No matter how short the pass is, only one good thing could happen out of 3 things.
Yeah, but Leroy, last thing, to be fair, yes, passing numbers are down, but Deshaun, if you look at any quarterback that's played all 3 games, or I'll say at least thrown 90 passes this year or 80 passes, nobody has less passing yards. The only quarterbacks with less passing yards than Deshaun are Justin Fields, who's thrown 40 less passes,
right?
Tua, who's played like 1.5 games,
correct?
Justin Herbert, who left the last game early, and Jacoby Brissett. That's it. Those are the only guys with less passing yards than Deshaun right now.
I got you, but you can't have it both ways. You can't talk about the yards and then talk about these little short passes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they want to go down the field. Do they have time? Like look, collectively, it needs to get better.
Yeah.
They need to figure it out collectively, but it all starts, if I could give you one simple answer, I would say until the offensive line protects a little bit better, gets better fits on their runs, then the offense is going to be shot because nothing moves without them. That's been a fact of football since I've been around it. And we all know this.
Leroy, fair enough. Good stuff, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.
All righty.
Next week.
All right. Have a good one.
Leroy.